welcome to the Challenge Chronicles. I'm Devin Jordan. I'm with Trace Armstrong and Rob McIntyre. We are here to discuss episode 13 of the Challenge, Double Agents. Last week, we were able to successfully get you a video episode on YouTube, which you can find at the Challenge Chronicles on YouTube. I think we're going to get like one of those signs in the background that say like number of days without a technical incident for every single time we're able to successfully record an episode. So hopefully, if this goes well, there will be another video episode for you to watch on YouTube.
I feel like it just goes up to 6 and then it goes back down to 0 once we try to record again.
Yeah. If you're watching us on Pat Mayo's channel, you can subscribe to us, the podcast version, on anywhere you listen to podcasts, on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, etc. You can subscribe to us if you want to see the actual video of what we look like on our YouTube channel. We would love if you left us a rating on iTunes. And if you ever have any listener email questions, and we'll get to one later tonight that someone sent in, you can reach us at thechallengechronicles@gmail.com. And with that, episode 13, what did we think?
Real quick also.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Real quick also, in the description of this video, we'll have a survey. It's very, very quick. If you guys fill it out, it'll help us determine what kind of content we want to put up moving forward. So just take it literally very, very short. We'll help us to give you entertainment.
Yeah, because we entertain ourselves doing this, so we want to know what entertains you.
Exactly. Yeah. We talk for 4 hours about Drew Lock, so we need somebody.
If only people knew the offline videos that are not in existence, but we've had.
Well, I guess two things. So one, we would really appreciate if you would fill this out. So the last time Rob and I spoke, he was requesting email addresses in there, but that was only so we could do a drawing and give someone a T-shirt for the people that filled it out. Are you still doing that?
I actually figured it out, Devin. I actually figured it out now where that should be optional, so that they shouldn't have to do that.
Okay, so if you want to leave us your email,
if you want to,
yeah, and we will do a drawing for a T-shirt, and you can win a T-shirt. This is largely we're thinking about doing some type of premium product with content, and we just want to get an idea of what interests you and kind of what you would what would be beneficial, what other kinds of content would be helpful. All right, so the second thing, what did you bring up?
You had a comment about Drew Lock, Devin.
What do you think the most heated conversation you've ever had is?
You got pretty mad at me about the Devontae Freeman, Melvin Gordon stuff.
I thought that was absurd.
I don't think there's an appreciable difference between the two, but this is a conversation that would interest like 4 people.
I think it just comes down to the opinion of. Well, I don't know. I think if you picked a different running back than Devontae Freeman, like I think the conversation might be different. You know what I mean?
I just brought him up because he was what's the old veteran who went for really cheap while Melvin Gordon got like $12 million, whatever he got.
Like I think if you would have picked someone else, it would have gone differently. But all right, let's talk about the challenge. Not a lot happened.
We're very grateful that it was a 60-minute episode.
Yeah,
not that it was a bad episode, but if this had been a 90-minute episode,
this was pretty soft.
We still haven't had the episode this season where it's absolute dynamite. Do you think we're past the point of where it's going to happen?
No, because like last season, I would say most people would say the best episode was the Hall Brawl episode towards the end, and that was the second to last episode. And we've seen plenty of times where like. I think from public perception, I'd be surprised if that wasn't.
The unedited D episode was astounding. Like that
was number one. That was by far the best. That's one of the best episodes of like the last.
I said that episode was not like the best one in years, and I was accosted. So I think that.
Have you seen the unedited one? Were you finally able to see it, Rob?
We've talked about that before. I was able to watch it. You guys had it. I definitely think, and we've had plenty of like really good episodes this season. Like I think.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think would be the best one so far? The Teresa and Jay, the one where they win the mission, and then Teresa just like goes crazy around the house and sets up everything, and then her and Cam like have the meltdown.
Probably. There were, but I think to kind of what you spoke to, there were a bunch of solid episodes this season.
Yeah.
We haven't had that episode where it's just fireworks for 90 minutes straight.
I think this season it's been almost more like the continuous storylines have been really good. There haven't really been one episode where it's really been focused into that. I kind of almost prefer those seasons. I think a lot of times when a season doesn't have a super standout episode, that actually means like there's stuff happening in all of them.
Mm-hmm. I would actually agree with that. I would say that the season has been, if it's not an A-, it's a solid B+ overall. Now, have there been a couple weak episodes? Sure, but like I said a couple weeks ago, I really like the long-term story hints they gave in plot points that have been paying off. So to me, it's like a reward as a viewer to pay attention, because if I'm paying attention, I'm going to get rewarded with the payoff. So I have really enjoyed how the season as a whole has been edited. So this episode was fine. Like, I didn't think it was good. I didn't think it was bad. I was grateful it was 60 minutes. If it was 90 minutes, I would probably be saying this is one of the worst episodes we've had in a while. But since it was 60, I was fine. It was fine. So
would any episode from this season be in the top 5 episodes from the last 3 seasons, including this season?
War of the Worlds 1 now, War of the Worlds 2 to now?
It's War of the Worlds 1, 2,
I was going to say just 2 and Total Madness, but we could even do War of the Worlds 1. So if it was War of the Worlds 1, it's definitely no, right?
Yeah, probably.
Like, I don't think there's any way. If it was just War of the Worlds 2 and Total Madness, maybe.
I think the one from 2 weeks ago, or the Teresa episode, would sneak in if it was just the last 3.
2 weeks ago?
That was the one I loved that had all the story payoffs, like where like 4 different little.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I know, and that's why that opinion of mine is not popular, and I get it. So like the vast majority are going to disagree with me, and I'm fine with that.
If we threw is that episode the best since War of the Worlds 1 in that survey, I have a feeling I would lose.
I would lose.
I like it.
2 Brenner accounts in there. Maybe that's it.
I think he said since War of the Worlds 2, right? Not War of the Worlds 1.
War of the Worlds 1.
No. I said War of the Worlds 1, and then we got into the Laurel episode discussion before our technical difficulties. And after thinking about it, I went, you know what? It's not as good as the Laurel episode, but it would be right underneath it for me.
The thing is, War of the Worlds 2 has 3 episodes in a row that I really like, and all the rest of them I don't like that much. And then
we still need to do.
Just has like weird spike episodes kind of scattered throughout.
Yep, you've got the Johnny West episode, you got the CT episode. The Johnny West episode. See, I loved it, but that's me. That was a long time, 20-year viewer getting a payoff, and I was loving it.
It's so overindulgent to me. Like, it felt like the show was loving the show itself too much instead of just giving me a good product.
We still need to do a top 5 episodes of all time.
I've advocated for that. I think that's one that we would probably just have to. Do we put a viewer poll on that one or no?
Who cares?
No, I think
let them say what they want to say.
What does this survey look like? That's a lot.
I feel like a lot of people don't remember specific episodes as much as they just remember a moment and don't even really remember what episode it came in. And then also like big poll. Have a lot of filtering I have to do.
I feel like
we just bring 2 other experts on and we just have a 5-way debate on it.
We'll have some people to hash that one out with.
I think I can think of 3 immediately.
Oh, I have a ton I could think of. That would be for me and how I watch the show. I could have a list of like 20.
I think my list would be large, and I would have a hard time paring it down. It would take some time and research.
Off the top of my head, I could probably say the episode that I like the most from each of from the past. Definitely a past Wild season.
But don't you have some that are in a tier that you would feel like you would?
Oh, it would be hard. I'm not saying it wouldn't be hard, but I'm just saying a lot of people I feel like just remember moments. They don't really remember what else happened in that episode.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, everybody remembers the Johnny backpack moment, but the rest of that episode was just, it was okay.
The rest of the episode I think is really good because that's also the episode where Sarah and Laurel attempt to throw the mission for the Grey Team.
Yeah.
And it's the mission where it's the Riot Shield mission where it's Derek versus the rest of those guys. Yes, it is.
No, because Bananas was already eliminated during the Riot Shield mission.
Exactly.
Oh, the backpack was the very first part of the episode. I forgot The cliffhanger was CT bowling him over, and then they came back at the
episode
beginning.
itself is called Riot Control, which is very appropriate. So like the mission's great, elimination's obviously great. You have great storylines too, and that's one of the episodes too where you can pretty clearly see like the difference in strategies at that point between the teams, which I think is the most interesting part of Cutthroat. So I really like that episode. I think that would have been one that I would have brought up immediately.
So what's the elimination at the end of that episode?
They don't have one at the end. They set up the Paula Emily elimination, and that's also the one where Tyler beats Derek, but they don't air it. They just air it on the final episode.
Did Nani get one of the all-time best edits at the end of the episode here as she wins while they play Bon Jovi?
And that was pretty awesome.
She wins while they play Bon Jovi in the background, and they give her pretty much
living on a prayer, no less.
They give her the perfect
feel like
angle.
One thing we need to.
They make her look like Chris Johnson shaking someone in open field as she puts the ring on her side.
We need to make sure we have the original cut episodes from War of the Worlds 1 to now, because I think the music has been so good on the initial running, but then they have to repurpose it in with just whatever they can find for free online. And I think they even edit out some scenes in some of the re-release content. So from World of Worlds 1 to now, I think we need to prioritize getting HD quality versions of the original released episodes.
Yeah, sadly, my versions of World of Worlds 1, there's a few that are dodgy because of my recording software. So
it's very disappointing. I know
it is disappointing.
I try watching them sometimes.
Total Madness, I have. So like that one's wrong with it. The DVR that's on my upstairs, for whatever reason, randomly throughout the show, it will just stop and stutter and then catch back up. And so you miss like 5 seconds here, 10 seconds there. And it's just friggin', I don't want to say the name of the company because I don't want to get sued, but the quality of their DVR is great when it works.
Yeah. So here's what do we think we want? Do we want to just present how we solve these kind of dead episodes going forward? Because I have ideas.
Go ahead.
Sure, do it.
This is Rob. We'll have producer Rob saves the challenge here. So what I think going forward, I think Skull Twist. I think it's been somewhat played out. I think we move on from that, and instead, when we have these missions, what we do is we award points based on how people perform in the mission. You know, back to like Battle of the Sexes 2 or Battle of the Seasons days where people got points and create an inner circle. But instead of using that to create the inner circle, players are then allowed to use those points to buy advantages within the game. So like you could buy a switch partners twist, you could buy mix up a different team twist, you could buy a double vote, you could buy to cancel somebody's vote. You know, you come up with plenty of different things to solve this. That way, it gives everybody incentive throughout the season to perform in these missions, because we've seen so many missions where I don't blame the cast for not performing because there's no reason for them to. And then or missions where it only matters who comes in first. So all the rest of these positions, like if I know I can't beat CT and Cam who are in first, why am I going to continue trying? So I think implementing something like that going forward, where it's not only an incentive always to perform in the mission, but it also rewards everybody for, like, it rewards second, it rewards third, it rewards fourth, it rewards everybody for participating in it.
I think Jeff Probst cried a little just there.
I think so
very
too.
Proud of you.
The fire tokens, he was very happy.
It's exactly what he would say too. I think it's a good idea though, candidly. Yeah, because I think there does need to be some way that the producers incentivize people to win on days where it doesn't necessarily benefit them to win the elimination, right? Or excuse me, not the elimination, but the mission.
Because we've seen, and like with this episode, I mean, who didn't think Gabby and Nani were going in as soon as we started the episode?
No one. There was not a single person that thought that a skull was going to get thrown in. Big T could not get thrown in. So literally, it was Nani and Gabby. So
the only two
TJ's
women
dragging the cast. I'm like, dude, like this is it's like so many things in life where it may look good on like from the initial 2-second glance at the idea, but once you implement it, it has 1,000 unforeseen consequences.
I will say that I, as much as we talked about Anisa's physical ability when it comes to the final, I definitely felt like a little bad for her this episode, especially how
I did too.
Especially after she talked about how she doesn't want to like go back and watch the season and get dragged, and talked about how no one wants to be her partner. And then they showed that repeatedly, even Kyle at the end, about how he was dreading being partners with Anisa. So that kind of sucks for her.
Yeah. That was legitimately funny though when that happened. Like I felt bad for Anisa. I know I make fun of her a little bit and affectionately what my nickname is for, but I did feel bad because it's obvious that like the show and making a final means something.
Storyline. Like we know Anisa's not good in finals, but it like comes up so frequently. It's like it's just not an interesting discussion point.
You know what was interesting though that I found from that whole deal? The fact that on 14 seasons, she only went to 2 finals. Like, I could have sworn it was more than 2, but she was very firm that she had only been in 2 finals. And then I looked at it, I was like, no, she's right. It was dual 2, and it was, yeah, that's it.
She doesn't even participate.
Nope.
So, yeah, I mean, she's not an early boot very often, but she just always ends up seeming in the last third of the season to get knocked out for whatever reason. So
yeah, and it's so interesting because people talk about her elimination record, and then when you look who she's beat, you kind of go, all right, with the exception of DM, she was the person they put in to get rid of the scrubs at the beginning, and then she eventually gets knocked out by somebody good.
She's kind of, how there's always those teams that people will talk about, like, oh, they like play up or play down to the level of competition. I feel like Anisa's the opposite of that. She beats who she's supposed to be and loses to who she's supposed to lose to.
Yeah. I agree with that assessment wholeheartly. She is properly rated.
Yeah. Because what's her most surprising elimination win?
DM.
Like what's her biggest accomplishment?
I probably have to look it up. There's
So she has gone against.
I mean, she beat Jenna last season, who people think is good, but
Paula, Robin, DM, Svetlana lost to Paula. Siobhan, she's gone against Paula a ton of fucking times. Siobhan, Paula.
Somehow they're never rivals on the season.
She beat Tori. That's not bad. That's saying something.
True. I mean, Tori was a disaster in that elimination.
She was.
Was it the one on the duel where you kind of have to just use the chains and go like this?
The duel 2? No, when she loses to Paula, you're saying?
Oh, this is the first duel.
No, she doesn't lose to...
It's the first duel.
The first duel, she beat Paula and Paula.
She beat Paula and I Can. Or was it I Can she lost? I can't. It was one of the two. I think she did I Can twice.
She loses to Svetlana and I Can.
So the second duel, she beats Tori in its elevator, and I think that's one with the chains where you have to pull yourself up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. That's the one Evan beat Nehemiah in.
Yeah, and Ryan. She makes the final in duel 2.
And then she loses
and like Rivals when she's paired with Robin, and she goes up against Evan and Paul in elimination. She's kind of drawing dead there.
And then she beats Tyree and Jasmine.
She loses another chain.
Also not exactly...
Yeah, but like she has Rachel as a partner. Like I don't think that's. I have to. Well, which one is that? That's
the weird Whirlybird
thing. It spins around. Yeah,
so you've got Tyree, who is big and uncoordinated, and Jasmine, who's little. Like it was the biggest mismatch ever. That was the one elimination I remember watching live and go, I've got my money on Rachel and Anisa, because it was just like, there's no way Tyree and Jasmine win this. Like zero chance.
Then she loses to Dunbar and Paula.
Pretty good on 30-30. I don't. Doesn't she beat somebody on 30-30 that's decent?
Man, she's been on a ton of seasons.
14 seasons, man. Dating all the way back to Texas 1.
She only loses. She loses to Kayla and she loses to Veronica.
Kayla, then she wins the redemption challenge against Nicole.
So I guess just glancing over this, her best elimination win of all time is probably against Tori.
Yeah.
You know who Anisa reminds me of, if we use a sports analogy? Patrick Ewing.
Patrick Ewing was like really good, dude.
Well, he was, but he never could win. Like that was the thing. Like he could do fine in the regular season, but choke away in the playoffs. And so he's regarded as this person with good stats, good leader, big name, played on the dream team, all those kinds of things, but he never got a ring. And the Knicks got better when he left.
I feel like that's a little harsh to Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing was
She also beat Jenna.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that actually might be a legit victory. I feel like that's good. Like I actually am on her team with that.
I don't think I think Jenna's like I don't know where people rank her right now, but I've always felt like her record's really inflated. If you look at who she beat, she beats absolute.
She has actually
scrubs.
gotten worse the longer she's been on the show. Like she
Like I mean,
started off
she goes
well.
up in that pole wrestle against Devon, and Devon absolutely tortures her every round.
Yeah, she's okay.
Yeah, because like she was really good on Battle of the Bloodlines, which doesn't mean much.
Beats absolute scrubs on Battle of the Bloodlines. She
well,
beats
that whole
Camilla's
season is
cousin. She
absolute
beats
scrubs.
Christina
So
in an elimination that's all about height, and then she beats Kellyanne like some wacky dizzy elimination that has no predictive value.
The baseball bat thing, yeah. And then she and Jay make the final as the layup, and they appropriately lived up to their term in that final. Or maybe I should say Jay lived up to that term. Jenna looked like she was at least going to try. Jay was not going to try. And then to me, she was fine in Dirty 30. It was only after Dirty 30 when she hurt her ankle that she started to get worse.
I mean, she loses to Kayla in an elimination. That's where height's a pretty big factor. Like that's not great. She doesn't really win any missions that season either. She only wins one that I remember. She wins the one where you just have to run straight, which is like the one thing she's like decent at. Like she doesn't win any of the other missions that season. I don't know. Like, and she wins the redemption challenges, but it's her competition in those. Like she's just got so much size. I mean, that is her one thing where she does have size on most of these girls. But she's just never been somebody I've been that impressed by.
She does not use her size well, though, because Laurel uses her size well, whereas Jenna does not really utilize it that well.
Even
so
like
I would
Tori,
agree with
like
that.
I think Tori has a lot of holes, but I think Tori's really good at like generating physical contact, and like she knows how to use her size.
So do you think I was going to ask if there's been any speculation for the next season of the challenge?
Very tentative.
They have delayed it a little bit from what I've heard because COVID regulations might be lifting. So I think they're pushing it back a tiny bit.
Also, how much of an overlap do you think they went with the OG season? And
I think they could care less about that. I
hope not. I would hope that they push it back.
I don't think it's a pushback because I don't think it's because they don't care about the OG season, but MTV primetime cable is different than premiering at 6 a.m. on a streaming network. So, not that it's not of importance. It just means that they're not going to sacrifice their moneymaker for that.
So do we know? So I'm under the assumption that the OG season will be released week by week, right?
Yes, because that's what they're doing with the real world.
That would be better. But
I mean, I kind of hope that they just drop it all at once. We watch it straight through, and then we do like a 20-hour podcast.
Nope.
I hope not.
We've done that. It didn't go well.
I can't handle that again. We'll have to
how long was that episode? It was like
4 hours. 4 hours of torture.
We'll have to have a bullpen ready to go, and we can like call in Logan and Pat and whoever else wants to be like on retainer for when we
tag.
Yeah.
I feel like I listened to that episode a while ago, and it wasn't that bad. Like relative to a lot of our other episodes around that period of time. Yeah. I think there was a period of time where one of us dropped out for like an extended period, and you were just like, keep going.
Probably me.
So
I thought that I actually thought this would have been a good mission too. It's just like the cast has no incentive to try.
So Fessy's in a really good spot here. This is what I wanted to talk about. He's in a good spot here because he knows that either woman that goes into elimination this episode will claim him as a partner.
Why does everybody want to be partnered with him? I think he's the worst of these guys in a final by like a decent margin.
Yeah, I actually think Nany made a mistake and should have stayed with Kyle.
She should have taken Darrell.
Yeah, that's also would have been really smart,
dude.
I thought about that too. Like, I wonder why.
Why is Fessy like such the desired candidate here?
Yeah, I thought about that too. I wonder if that's a perception of just the women or of the house as a whole. You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's weird because it's Nany and Anisa who have done so many of these seasons, and there's so first of all, you got Darrell and CT on the table, both two people who have won multiple times. You've got Kyle and Corey who are the other options. They both beat Fessy in a final last season. I know it's screwy circumstances, but Corey outperformed him at every leg. And then also we're in Iceland, so we can be pretty confident this is going to be a cold final and at high altitude. Every single time you're at a cold, high altitude final, you do not want somebody with his build because they always struggle. You have Zach on free agents. You have CT on XS1. You had Fessy himself last season. Like people of that build really struggle when you're on high altitude and you're cold. I don't see why why people are keep picking him. And Nisa's like that upset about losing him. I don't get that at all.
I think that it comes down to the alliances in the house. Okay, I really do. Number one, we saw Nani and Cam are working together, so she's not going to take CT from Cam unless Cam tells her to do it. I don't think she's going to, grab Leroy because Leroy and Casey are doing great.
He was also double agent, so she couldn't have picked him.
Yeah, and then you've also got the Darrell Amber situation. Darrell and Nani have never been on a season together until this season.
Like, what's her relationship with Fessy?
She at least has done a season with him, and it's also probably part of the alliance she's a part of. Like, hey, we need to get Fessy away. She has a closer
bond with Anisa and Amber B. Like, I would.
Well, you would think that, but at the end of this, I think it comes down to they said, hey, listen, Fessy, we don't want him to run the final with Anisa for obvious reasons. Pick him, and I have a feeling that's probably how it went down.
Wow, if that's the case, I think if you're on the show and you're in a situation, you should be playing to win. Like, I don't think you should be like.
I would have picked Darrell.
Relationships are personal relationships. There's certain times where I can see where damaging that is of negative value to your life more so than not winning the show would be. But I think when you're in a situation where it's hard for me to believe that it's that drastic of emotionally damaging, where she's not prioritizing just getting the best competitor on her team. I think if she's with Darrell, I think she would have like a legit shot. Whereas with Fessy, I don't see them doing well at all.
Honestly, if she had picked Darrell, they become the favorites, like hands down to me.
I would thought CT and Cam over them by a little bit. I think CT slimmed down enough now where I don't think he has issues in this setting.
Seems like he's gotten a little heavier since the start of the season, though. If you go back and watch the first episode, so I feel like I saw a clip of the first episode. I think it was when they did the flashback of CT's decision to not pick Cam as a partner at the beginning of the season. He looks noticeably more slim than he does now. Because how many weeks later are we?
Probably 5 or 6.
Yeah, so a month and a half later.
He's going to film pretty quickly.
What do you think of Anisa's decision to pick Kyle over Corey?
I think it does make sense just in that I thought her point actually didn't make a lot of sense. Where Corey's going to really want to go into the next elimination, Kyle's probably not going to want to risk it, even though he does have Anisa. So I think it makes sense to pick somebody who you're at least like similarly incentivized with.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. I mean, he's going to want to go in, and what if they do a double cross and you both have to fight it out? So you're better off being partnered with another skull than with someone who's not at this point, because I mean, we're at episode 13. We might be going to 17, we think.
We know they said 17. Did they say 17 or 19?
I think 19, but I think
we think it's 2 reunions.
Yeah.
I would not be shocked.
Reunions in like an episode and a half for the final.
So we have technically 4 episodes left. So this is my prediction. We're going to get one more male elimination. We're going to get one more female elimination, and we're getting a purge and a final.
Purge in the final or purge outside of the final?
Purge before the final.
Like in War of the Worlds 1, where they purge Pauline Devon and then they have the final the next episode. No.
Mm-hmm. I think we're getting that set up because I'm just counting and I'm looking at the episode order and I'm looking at other stuff, and it feels like we're heading towards a purge and someone's going to get screwed. That is probably a favorite.
I think Anisa and Kyle still probably end up back in elimination though, right? At least for one episode. I just think they're still the outsider team. Like right now, I think pretty clearly the power nexus season has been Leroy, Cam, Nani. There are the other 3 teams. I don't think any of them are going again. I think it's Kyle.
Oh, Casey.
Well, Casey's paired with Leroy, I'm saying.
I think it's inevitable that Kyle's going into the next elimination because let's face it, they're not going to throw Fessy in. They're not throwing Leroy in. They're probably not throwing CT in. They're not going to throw who's the other one? I'm sorry, Darrell in. So it's gonna be
maybe
Kyle.
I forgot about them. They could also do it. Darrell has been riding with Leroy pretty hard the entire season apparently, but I still think Anisa and Kyle going over them, but they're actually another option where I could see them going.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Kyle and Corey in the next male elimination, like hands down, because Kyle is the odd man out in all of those alliances that are left.
Yeah, he does seem like the Cam. I think just has too much power. I just have a hard time seeing CT get put in where she and her risking that.
It was interesting to see how poorly they did as partners this week, and based off of the preview for next week's episode, it doesn't seem like it gets any better.
I mean, we'll see. We don't know when they're misleading us on these things, and then we also just like again, like why are they trying?
Who? Cam
They're
and
not going in,
TT?
dude. Yeah, why are they trying? They're not going in.
They're
At
just
this
getting
point,
good
their
camera
biggest
time,
potential to
baby.
try is just wrap up the mission.
Just camera time, baby. That's all it is.
Well, you get plenty of camera time when they're clowning you for not trying, evidently. What do we think about Fessy? Like Fessy's acting job of trying to seem like he's not throwing the mission.
It was pretty bad.
It's absolutely clear. Like
it was Danny level in
dude.
Gauntlet 3 how bad the acting was.
He got found out though. Danny got found out too, right?
Everybody knew Fessy and Danny were being
when he was running in circles around the pyramid.
I don't think so. I don't think anyone ever
somebody has a confession where they say they saw him. Somebody does.
No,
I think it's like Coral.
I'm
pretty confident like Coral.
Coral doesn't come right out and say it, but she hints that guys weren't trying, was what she said in her confession.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah. So, do we assume that they just give Corey what he wants next week and let him go in? Or
if it's against Kyle, sure.
Who do we think they would try to who do we think would be getting backstabbed otherwise? Because already one of them is going in, and that means if we just assume it's Kyle, because I do think it's going to be Kyle.
What if they try and put Darrell in because they don't want to face him in the final?
I just have a hard time seeing that happen.
It really depends on how tight Amber B is in the Big Brother Alliance. Because
I think it's more about Darrell and Leroy than it is about Amber B and the Big Brother people.
Yeah,
I think it's about Darrell and Leroy.
What Leroy wants to happen.
It's weird to me that they were so intent on getting West out, and they're just fine letting Darrell get to the final, but they haven't identified him as a threat at all.
I think they were worried about West from the political standpoint.
But you can work with West politically. You can't work with Darrell in the final. Like he's not going to be like, oh, okay, I'll make a deal with you and not win.
Yeah, it's kind of like this will sound banana homerish, and I'll admit that I love bananas. We all know this. I never have understood why the cast focuses so intently on getting rid of him at the beginning, because they make that their main focus. It has felt like for several seasons.
It's not always that way.
But I feel like, especially for War of the Worlds 1 and 2, that was the goal, was to get Bananas out as soon as possible.
Okay, so War of the Worlds 1, I think that was mostly West. War of the Worlds 2, he threw a mission the previous episode and orchestrated a blindside of one of the pioneering players of the opposing.
So he kind of got what he deserved.
I think at that point you have to throw him in. Like I don't see any way you let him hang around.
But you can even say that about him, like even in Vendettas, like it seemed like, once they had the opportunity, they did it. And I'm very much in the corner of, you want to wait to put Bananas in until you have a favorable elimination matchup. And often when they try to throw him in, like in Free Agents, when Jordan played that card too early.
Last time he got like a cream puff elimination. It had been so long since he won.
Isaac in Free Agents is one.
That was so long ago, though. And you don't know it's going to be Isaac. It's
because of the kill cards. You're right. That was random. He got lucky. You're right.
There's a 4-episode stretch on Free Agents that's incredible. I think I would have it like
a great season.
Yeah,
he does have some tough matchups and eliminations. Just scrolling through these right now.
It's been a while since he got like. I mean, he hadn't won an elimination. He had won one when he was paired with Sarah, and they got Dario and Nicole when it was just picking skulls. I didn't even get put in, and he lost every single other elimination from X's 2 to now. Outside of that, X's 2 to Total Madness. Outside of that one.
Yep.
Yeah. But so he went against his last ones are Wes, Theo, Zach and Zahida.
Yeah.
Nelson and Shane. Or no, that was
Natalie and Polly.
Natalie and Polly, Joss and Sylvia.
A rigged elimination, by the way.
But there's so much weird reporting about that. I don't think we can say the elimination was rigged.
Wes coming out on his podcast this week and saying that the cast from everyone
that was on his podcast. That was
his Patreon or whatever. Somebody else's.
I texted you that today. I wasn't listening to that.
That's right. You sent it to me.
And what he what he said was that on Final Reckoning, the missions were so poorly done that the cast had to ask for help on how to do them and had to redo them. There was some elimination, but we have no clue what it was.
But then when they did the Bananas Tony versus Natalie and Polly elimination, they did it one day, and Bananas and Tony were smoking it. So they stopped it and set up another elimination for the next day.
None of that elimination, and we've heard from Bananas and Tony that Bananas and Tony were smoking it. I don't think we can say for sure how far ahead they were. Or like,
either way, they were doing an elimination and supposedly were winning. They stopped it and then come back the next day with a completely different elimination, with an elimination that was more equalized, which is why that whole friggin' season is hot garbage, is stuff like that. Like, just it is a steamy pile of shit.
I just think there are so many things that are bad on seasons. Like, every season has problems pretty much.
What was
Final Reckoning is by far the season with the. I would rather sit through Sexes 1 again than sit through Final Reckoning. Like, I am dreading when we cover that.
I just can't get through it. It's so bad. So all right. So
I really don't mind Final Reckoning. I think Final Reckoning definitely has its moments.
What was this elimination between Riff Raff and Johnny like? Give me the breakdown.
It was a joke.
It was a joke. Putt, and Riff Raff is like Riff Raff. It was like putt, and then also Riff Raff to that point had left the show like on 3 different occasions. He just left and people couldn't find him. So he went to a concert. What does he do? He like tosses his club to the side and like jokingly tries to use his head. Clearly, just like
he did not care a lick about that show. Like none.
We need to cover that season to some extent because that season is such a mess. Like you have T.O. versus CT. You have Camilla hitting the producer with the golf cart. Like.
It's a weird season.
Little Romeo getting his bodyguard to like attack Zach. Like that season's just such nonsense.
Who wins that season?
Bananas, Emily, CT. Yeah. The final's actually not terrible.
The Stars don't win a mission the entire season.
No, it was bad. And then the next season they had Brooke Hogan, Hulk Hogan's daughter, on it.
That season's really good. I really like that. Actually,
what was her name? I want to see. Was it Rashida? No, not Rashida Jones.
Rashida Jones. Louise?
Louise. I want to see Louise on the main show because she out-politicked Wes that season. It was great.
She's really good. They were apparently they'd asked her a bunch. She just declined. She's got other stuff going on.
Who is it?
Louise Hazel. She's a British athlete, much more mentally adept than Lolo.
She's much better than Lolo. Not maybe physically, but mentally. Sure.
I think she's actually more entertaining. She's great on both seasons, but I think she's better on the original Champs versus than the third one.
See, I loved her.
Just up with the lime, she's like a Bond villain that season. She's great.
Yeah. She really was. In that third season where Wes is trying to come strike a deal with her, Louise is like, you taught me how to play this game. I know what you're doing. I'm not doing it. And he was like, man, he was jokingly upset because he's like, man, I taught her too much.
Think about it. That season comes before Final Reckoning.
Yes.
In between Vendettas and Final Reckoning.
Okay. All right. So
with these confessionals, like, these people have been in the same outfits for so many of them. Do we think they didn't film enough? And after the season, they said, Kyle, CT, Cam, like a few of you guys come around and we need you to film a few more of these?
Didn't they do that in Inferno 3?
They've done that a few times.
Yeah. I know that Inferno 3 was...
The one time they did it, and you can clearly tell, was on Dirty 30 with the Camilla incident when they have CT and Johnny come in. But with this season, I really think, because like Kyle's been in that little brown jacket, CT, he's done so many confessionals where he's in that black jacket. But they're also just dressed in a manner where they
just think they had an outfit and they asked them to wear it every time. I don't know that there's that many.
No,
maybe.
I think it would be less likely this season than in other seasons that they would ask them to come do it just because of COVID. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Especially with Kyle too. He's British, so it's probably harder to bring him.
I don't think so. I mean, it's not like last season where we saw Bear in the same exact outfit 3 episodes in a row. Maybe even longer in that Hawaiian shirt. Remember?
I just think. I mean, every episode Kyle's been in that outfit. Like he had confessionals in that outfit in the preview episode.
I think he was just doing the character and wearing the outfit. Like I really do. Usually you can tell by the context of how they're talking, and I just don't get that vibe this season.
If they filmed them in post.
Yeah, I just don't. I think everything was filmed on location. Like, do I think though that when they were eliminated, they might have done a longer confessional interview and had them reflect back on the whole season and fill in some gaps. Absolutely. Like, I think it's entirely plausible that before they sent them home from Iceland, that they filmed some extra confessionals. Like, I would buy that.
I really liked Cam too, like doing Leroy and Casey's math equation for them from the other cell.
Yeah.
And TJ got all pissed at her about it. Like, they're fine with people getting. And TJ got mad at her after the mission and was like, "Oh, your partner tried, but you didn't." I mean, she's at least doing something. And you guys they're fine with them ganging up on some of these missions, and other missions it's not allowed. I don't see why. Like, why? There's some missions where it's specifically designed where the cast is supposed to gang up on one member, and then there's other missions where they do that and they're like, "Oh, that's against the rules." Like what are we doing?
Rob, this is a different outfit that he's wearing. So he's worn this shirt before. He wears this shirt quite a bit. Him and Devin wear this shirt. And
the one with the brown jacket?
Yeah.
And the white turtleneck?
It's not a turtleneck. So if you go back and watch it again, it's like a
it's like a ringer shirt that has like a
I'll have to look at this more intently.
I know which one you're talking about. He has that like turtleneck with the blazer that he's worn quite a bit.
Yeah. Maybe he just has very similar outfits and he's been deceiving me this entire time.
All right. Yeah, I feel like the amount the percentage of time that we've talked about the actual episode from this week has been very small. I feel like that's a good indication of what we think of this episode. What
overall, good for Nani. Let's just talk about Nani for a minute. I know we mentioned it at the top. I mean, she really did get, like you said, the hero edit. I mean, when they had her jumping in slow motion on that third grab as the swell to Living on a Prayer happened,
was actually pretty good.
I actually give them a lot of credit. Like, I did not think Nani had it in her mentally to come back after being down 1-0 because she's not I don't think she's won a single non-partner elimination before this episode. Because the other seasons where it's right. Like she never went in elimination on free agents that I recall.
No, she didn't.
And then the only other non-partner season she did would have been the Battle of the Bloodlines thing where you had to compete by yourself, but her sister competed.
Last season War of the Worlds 2, and she lost her eliminations to both of those.
She lost to that. She lost to Smashley. That's right. And I think this was her.
She loses to Melissa.
So I think this was her first win as a single competitor.
Yeah. She had a few wins with Wes on Rivals 3, but that was an individual.
And they had one in I think Battle of the Seasons. Her and no, she didn't. She and Alton lost. Never mind.
Alton throws that one and they lose.
Yeah, Alton threw it. So yeah, it was their first win. So kudos to Nani for 10 seasons in pulling out a solid, impressive victory tonight.
Rob, do you think that they should randomly put a hidden immunity idol in the house?
What would be the purpose of it?
It would be the Tyler Perry idol. And so
you just play it after you're voted in?
If you go into elimination and you get knocked out and lose elimination, you can play it and come back in.
I do not think that will occur at any point. It would be pretty funny for them to do that one season where they just have like Jay or Natalie is sitting on the couch and they just like lift up the couch cushion and there's like some rock under there that says they can. If they play I'm honestly will avoid elimination.
You know what would be really hilarious is if like Johnny Bananas or someone heard this and did it as a prank and they created like this elaborate
that
thing.
Would be incredible.
And then someone tries to play it and looks like a complete dumbass.
They need to steal that one. If like next time Johnny or Wes are on a season, like just like what he did with the notes on Vendettas.
Oh yeah, which was brilliant. So good.
That's next
angle it with him and be like, guys, this gives me immunity. If any of you vote, if any of you vote for me and I play this, the next person we vote in, that would be incredible.
One of them should definitely do that, yeah. And just say that it's an advantage that he got in the game, and just like, he should even like go as far to like do it in front of TJ. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. Is like you need to make it like if you are called into elimination.
So, like, what are the chances TJ? Like, what do you think TJ has to do? Like, TJ is definitely talking to production at the very least, right?
TJ is probably looking at them like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
he's not going to. Well, I don't know if TJ's on his feet enough to not give away what he's trying to do. You know what I mean? Because like in that situation, Jeff Probst is like stone faced, and he's like, "I'm not going to tell you if what they have is real. I'm not going to tell you if it's fake. You need to operate with the information that you have at hand."
I feel like if that was a scenario that could possibly play out before an elimination, the producers would pull TJ aside and go, "Hey," because you know that they tell TJ about stuff that happens in the house.
Yeah, you're right. So going into it,
he would be forewarned. He could practice.
That would be pretty great, man. Somebody needs to steal that. I don't know if he or John West will be on the next season, but somebody, I don't know, whoever somebody's got to take that one and use it. That would be incredible.
That's one of those things that I don't think I bet you no one's ever really thought about that, and it's very believable.
I think the Survivor people now probably have like.
Yeah, you're right, but it's believable. It seems like something that they would do on the show.
Just have it lying around the house. I don't know, man.
Well, no. What you do is you like put a clue under someone's mattress, and in there is like a clue to a hidden elimination nullifier, and then they start going around the house finding the different clues until they find it, and then they hide it.
The one thing with them, because like on Survivor, if somebody finds a fake idol and they bring it to production, they won't tell them if it's real, right?
No, they won't.
Yeah,
because you have TV gold if you see this going down as a producer.
I think on the challenge they would 100% tell them if it's real, and they usually don't tell them anything. But I definitely think they would.
No, I think they let that play out. Like really? You want that to play out.
You gotta let it ride.
I mean, dude,
I know you
if
should,
they
but I feel like they would just be
so
surprised. I think they would just tell them.
No,
I think they would see the opportunity.
It depends who. I mean, look, I don't know any of these production members. Maybe I'm not giving them enough credit.
I try to give them. After listening to that podcast with the producer on the Entertainment Weekly podcast, I've given them not enough credit sometimes. I think sometimes
I feel like if production is too aware of me, they have a dartboard of me in their production room that they're using.
It's entirely possible. But the other thing about the elimination that cracked me up is that when Anisa picked Kyle, watching TJ trying not to laugh at the situation was hysterical. Go back and watch TJ's reaction. When Kyle's going like, fuck, no, TJ's like trying to cover his mouth, and he has like this Cheshire cat grin. He's legitimately trying not to lose it on camera.
Power rankings?
Already?
Yes, wow. Sure.
Or have you thought over my Amber B versus Casey bet?
What's the bet?
Well, you said you would determine what odds you were giving me after the week.
Well, I'm giving you odds on that? You're the one who wanted
you said odds. Well, you said odds last week. Odds.
I am? What?
Yeah, you're giving Amber B versus Casey. You were going to give me odds.
No, I think that's bullshit. I need to go back and listen to that. I thought you wanted to do it straight up.
That's what you said. You said Amber because you were clowning me for having. You said you would give me odds.
You said you would think about what odds you would give Rob.
Yeah.
So think about and actually give odds.
Yeah, I'll think about it. I have literally thought zero.
Come on, dog. You got to give me odds now. One of them's gonna get knocked out next episode.
I thought like less than 0 seconds about that over the last week. I'll think. I'll think about it. I promise.
Did you put a Cam versus Casey bet in the document?
Yeah, it's there. Line 12.
The Cam versus Casey one?
Yeah, it's right there. I'm looking at it right now. We should make this.
I'm not doubting you. I hadn't looked at it.
We should make
how much?
Look at it.
I would not take this bet for the record, but what would your odds be for Anisa not to come in last if she runs the final?
How many people are?
What kind of odds? It doesn't matter. Anisa is in the final.
How do DQs count?
Anisa just has to finish higher than someone else in the final.
Well, I'm saying if somebody DQs in the final, is that considered last or is that considered just not even placed?
No, the person who was DQ'd is considered last.
Yeah,
so like Anisa, if she finishes higher. When was the last
final that there wasn't a DQ? I guess War of the Worlds 2, but that's a team final. Like I don't.
Yeah, but that's not a DQ. So
Final Reckoning is not a DQ, but Final Reckoning is also Final Reckoning. Like Vendettas has Nicole DQ.
Vendettas, yeah. Dirty 30 doesn't.
There's no DQs.
Invasion doesn't. Rivals 3 doesn't.
I guess
there's actually more that don't. I think X's 2 is the last
you're right.
DQ.
X's 2 has the JDQ.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot where they come close. I guess War of the Worlds 1, I mean, you have the 2 DQs and Hunter basically dies when he's trying to get eliminated.
Those are definitely whatever. But yeah, if you were to say, what would your odds be that in the final, Anisa finishes higher than last?
Plus 175, plus 200. I don't think it's that high. What do you think, Devin?
I haven't been listening. What's the question?
He's searching something now. I can't hear him typing.
Yeah, what's the prop bet for Anisa to not finish last in the final? Like, what are the odds you'd give? Like, I don't want to take it.
I don't think it's that bad, honestly. I mean, they're in pairs. Like, there's stuff that happens, and like, she's good at other stuff. Like, obviously her endurance is a problem, but like, she's good at the other stuff. Where if there's like a puzzle purge at any point, like, she can win that easily. These people suck at puzzles.
I just don't think she can.
Puzzles at this point.
There's going to be 4 pairs.
She's very good. What's that?
So, I think there's 4 people in the final, right? Or 4 pairs.
We don't know. I mean,
I know.
It could be if they do a purge, it might be 3 pairs.
I think we're going to. It could be 5, could be 4, could be 3, could be 2. Who knows?
I give her like 10% to not finish in last.
That's ridiculous. 15%. That's absolutely bet on that right now. We could like that. That's ridiculous.
It's 25% chance just off the bat by pure chance. If there's 4 pairs,
I think there's going to be 5. Well, I think we would have to assume 5 personally. I think
we'll start with 5.
So if 5%, if 5 pairs, that means there's 20% chance.
But like I think 10% is crazy.
No. 20%.
I don't.
Like you think there's Trace? You don't think that's crazy? A 10% chance? A 10% she doesn't finish in last?
Oh,
yeah,
wait,
I think that's about.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is like, what is the odds that she finishes something other than last in this final?
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking about this, right? Yeah, so it's 10%.
She has a 10% chance to not be last place.
Hold on. She has an 80% chance.
There's like a 40% chance somebody DQs, and like that could be her, but I would say it's not.
I would go with the odds that no one would probably DQ.
She has an 80%. So off the bat, she has an 80% chance by pure chance. Yeah, I would need to think about it. I don't think she has a good chance. So, I mean, especially when you look at the other people left in the cast too.
Mm-hmm. There's not really a scrub left.
Somebody DQs. If DQs count, there's also these purges where it's not endurance based. It could be a puzzle. It could be whatever. Like Cara Maria gets knocked out of War of the Worlds 1 because she loses the puzzle. Hunter never gets knocked out because he loses the elimination. War of the Worlds 2, they have the purge. They have these purges all the time in finals, and usually they're not endurance based. She could. I think if she's in that, she's actually I think CT is the best at puzzles, but she's like second or third.
Well, because it's in Iceland, and I think that it's going to be high altitude, I don't even know that she gets through the first leg.
I don't know, man. I think that's way too hard on her.
I don't know, dude.
I'm not trying to be mean. I'm really not. Based on what the evidence we have seen.
I think is absolute lunacy.
To not finish in last?
Yeah, I think that's absolute lunacy.
So
there's a 90% chance, in my opinion, that she comes in last. I mean, that's where I'm at with it. I mean, I really am.
That's just so ridiculous. You said yourself DQs count and purges count. 40%. There's like a 40% chance somebody just gets injured.
So you're not wrong. I just don't think they're even going to get that far. Like whoever her partner is literally. I mean, we saw she finishes the duel 2 with Mark Long, and I think the duel was a harder final than last season. Man, dude, that was a long time ago, and she was not in great shape then, but she is in worse shape now. Like
I was thinking about it
even
wrong.
A good comparison.
I was
thinking about it wrong. So it was. I did the numbers backwards. So it's by pure chance, it's 80%. That she finishes in a place other than last, and because it's Anisa, we'll knock off a lot. So yeah, it's definitely higher than that. I agree, it's higher.
Yeah, I think that's legitimately crazy. I think that's higher. That's if Trace is running a book, he's going bankrupt in 2 days if he's putting out those type of odds.
Well, of course, that's why I wouldn't take the bet. there's too many variables. But if you would bet on it, it's like there is an odd that you would be safe with it.
I bet it's like 50-50 that she finishes in last.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think it's like 50.
Yeah,
I was
you said that. Yeah,
more I think about it, I think it's like 50-50 at least. There's just such a chance something
weird happens. 50-50 to finish in last. You know what I mean? That's what we're talking about.
10 is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, but I see the track record. I see who is in the final, and we
don't know who's in the final, what the pairs are. We don't know what the context of the final is. We don't know how difficult it's going to be. We don't know so many things.
I would assume it's going to be difficult because they all are, except for Final Reckoning.
Last season was not that difficult.
I don't even.
I would just. That's tough. A cardio biller. I mean that.
I think that was tougher than
the Vendetta final was not that difficult. Like there's been plenty of finals that she would have been fine.
Yeah,
I mean, if it's War of the Worlds 1, like who knows? Like half the cast is probably gone. But like, I mean, I don't think that's happening.
I mean, if it was still the team era and she had a team that could help her, I think they could overcome it. But after watching that one mission this season where she and Fessy had to carry the thing and they went and got them a smaller one just so they could finish, that told me everything I needed to know.
But it's there's no incentive for her to try. There's literally none. In her final, she's trying. And that time, why is she trying? She's not going to win. She doesn't even need power at that point. They had won the first 2 missions. Why is she trying?
I mean, she still wants to try and get power to like put people in her alliance in a better place.
She was in a great spot politically. Like, I don't see why she's trying. So honestly, the thing that would be most likely to happen at that point is she wins. Fessy puts himself in elimination. She loses him as a partner.
Did he not have a skull at that point?
He didn't have a skull. Because remember, he skips out on the Jacob elimination.
That's what ends up happening, right? What episode do they win again and he throws himself in?
No, that was the episode Tori and Devin won, and then he tells Tori to put him in.
Oh, that's right. You're right. All right.
Yeah, like I think that's absolutely crazy. Like we've had a lot of, like, again, add this to the whiteboard of what's Trace's weirdest take. I think
my hot take of the week.
Crazy.
The crazy hot take of the week.
That was like when I was scrolling through my phone the other day and saw Kawhi Leonard at 40-1 to an NBA MVP, and I bet it's legal now for us to bet here, so I bet a decent amount of money on it. That's absolute lunacy.
All right.
Fair enough.
Rob, go
Power rankings.
I'm keeping mine the same. I don't have any changes.
Yeah, well, there's no new. I mean,
none.
I think it does change a little bit now.
That'd be because around partners.
So the Fessy Nany partnership intrigues me because Nany did perform.
I think they have no shot.
I don't think they're going to win.
But
they have a chance.
I don't think that they're winning.
I would say they have a better chance than not. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like of the strong teams that are left, if one of them won the season, I wouldn't be upset about it because I feel like those teams earned it and have the potential.
We have some good teams going into the final. For sure.
Darrell and Amber's good.
I think CT and Cameron is better than them. I think Darrell and Amber Beard is better than them. I think Leroy and Casey are just better than them.
I think what's going to be really intriguing is if both CT and Cam and Leroy and Casey, if they all make the final, if they don't get purged out, I think they will. That is going to be an interesting matchup because I think that even though I would bet or I would want, I don't know if I'd want, I actually would like to see Leroy get a win in his retirement.
I like to see Leroy get a win.
I really would like to see Leroy get a win.
I really appreciated how he's adapted his gameplay these past 2 seasons too. He's actually really been like doing stuff now. He seems like he really wants one. I think he's played pretty intelligently too, which was something I always like to see rewarded.
Yeah,
I mean, he's won 3 missions. Like I like
this season is by far the best performance he's had start to finish. Like I feel like
War of the
Worlds 2
pretty on point.
He was on point, but
2 he's really good in eliminations. He's awesome in eliminations that season.
Yeah.
Right, so
this season is by far his best performance to me. Like it's not even a question.
Rob has CT, Darrell, and Leroy for the men. For the women, he has Cam, Amber P, and Casey. And overall, he has Cam, CT, Darrell. Trace, are you going to change anything?
No, it's going to stay the same for now.
Trace has CT, Darrell. Am I reading this off the right column yet? Trace has CT, Darrell, and Leroy for the men. For the women, Cam, Amber B, and Casey. And then overall, Cam, CT, Darrell. And then I will Yeah, I'll leave mine the same, I guess. I have Darrell, Fessy, CT for the men, Casey, Cam, Amber B for the women, and then Casey, Cam, Darrell overall. And let's do listener email. If you ever want to send us a listener email,
Deb, I don't see this Cam Casey bet in our Google Doc.
It's on 12, line 12. I'm looking at it right now.
I want no outs on this bet.
What do you mean?
Well, for me, this is mostly edit based. So, like, if something weird happens to somebody, that counts.
Sure. So, line 12.
All right, cool.
On wagers, do you see it in that wagers tab?
Yeah. So I actually saw somebody doing Edgic, like an actual Edgic board for the challenge. They've had Cam since week 1, and CT's been on top for most of it.
Let's have him come on. Reach out to him or her.
I'll see what I can do. Honestly, you're the only, basically the only person I know that doesn't think they're editing the show, at the very least to tell the story of who wins the season.
Fuck no, they don't.
You're out of the people who watch the show intently, you're legitimately one of the only people I know.
They're building up a narrative in their mind. They're going back and after the fact trying to make sense out of noise. That's what's going on.
That's not entirely
the only season, and I will maintain this, the only season where I have felt that the winner was telegraphed was last season, because everything they were doing made it seem like the Johnny Bananas redemption story. It was episode
Jenny got
1.
So much screen time, and it wasn't like she was in drama a lot.
But he disappeared 3/4 of the way through the season because of the D story.
Last season, I actually don't think you could count, because the D stuff is what are we doing with that from a filmmaking perspective? At that.
Mm-hmm.
I think
from episode 1, I knew Bananas was winning. It was just the way they edited it, and they had him and Wes. It just felt like
Devin, legitimate. You're the only person I know out of the people I even asked people about this. They even think that they're not going to edit it in some fashion so that the winners are satisfying for the viewer. You're the only person I know that thinks so.
They don't though.
Gauntlet 3 is the raging.
I think that's crazy.
It's crazy. No, it's not. To make it so, you're saying that they edit it in a way to make the winner look good. That's what you're saying.
I've seen that they edit the story in a way that the winners they tell the story of the winner in a satisfying way for the viewer.
No, I don't think so. We can go back and look at this. Here, let's pull it up right now. We've done this before.
Yeah,
we haven't done it season by season before.
I would say Rivals 1, even though Johnny and Tyler win, the story there is CT Adam the whole season. That's the story.
But the main character doesn't necessarily mean that they were the winner's story.
But even the edit they gave Johnny and Tyler didn't necessarily give off that they were winning. I remember being legitimately surprised.
With Johnny and Tyler, they show them as the team who's built up the most chemistry to that point. With Kenny and West, they're still fighting, and they really highlight that throughout the season. With CT and Adam, they're kind of being pulled back and forth, and they're kind of the typical dramatic team that gets launched right before the end.
Hold on, I'm looking something up.
War of the Worlds 2, I don't see that. That's another one where they're clearly highlighting the story in a way to favor one side over the other.
So for the first War of the Worlds, guess where Turbo
gets an incredible heroes edit throughout that entire season. They're adding in visual effects to all of his special moves.
They do that in War of the Worlds too, and he gets thrown off the show.
Visual effects to his stuff? I mean,
yeah, they did.
Kind of a villain
they totally did it in War of the Worlds too.
That was totally the thing that they do for Turbo, the fucking fireball where he shoots it out of his
knee.
Well, I mean, but that's also after they've established that in War of the Worlds 1.
They do.
So I'm telling you, they make him look really good on War of the Worlds 1. In the War of the Worlds 2, it's a lot different.
I don't buy that. I don't think they edited him that way in War of the Worlds 1. So before War of the Worlds 1, it's Final Reckoning. I mean, we'll see this season, right? You said this about Leroy and Cam at the beginning of the season. We'll see if they win.
I've had Cam from day one, yeah.
But I think both of you, the first episode, Leroy and Cam, you thought that they were editing them in a way. Well, I don't think Trace.
Leroy number 1 after episode 1.
You said that you thought that they were editing. Here, let's look.
Yeah, you did say that in episode 1.
No, I remember I said I would take Cam against the field at this point after episode 1. I still feel pretty good about that.
I don't think I did. I was not a believer.
Yeah, you got Leroy number 1.
I think I'd have Cam CT at I'd have Cam CT at 70% at this point, 20% Terrell Amber B, then 10% something else.
So yeah, I don't.
Maybe I'm misrepresenting the situation, and more people are on your side than I know. I just know from talking to other people who watch the show intently that
You two are literally the only people that you two are the two of the three people I talk to about the challenge. So I have no idea what other people think about this. All right.
It's you guys and the people on Reddit that hate me that that I talk about the show with.
Do you think we're generally liked or disliked on Reddit? I think liked generally.
I think we're liked generally. I think we're liked generally.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. I mean,
there's a vocal minority that hate me on Reddit because I think they're a little. I probably poke the bear a little bit with those people, and I shouldn't. They come out with.
We're gonna Tracy's gonna end up losing this half of our audience by the end of the year.
I'm gonna lose my flair because they're like, we can't have this guy have flair anymore. It's just not gonna work.
Yeah, I don't have a flare on mine. How you guys both got the flare? I never got a flare.
Messages. You just talk to the mods, man. They're nice people.
They
did it. They did it without. I didn't ask it. I just one day logged in and saw I had flare.
I've still got
Devin and I have actually messaged the mods about podcast stuff, and so they were adding us to the bar.
Well, actually, I don't think I think I messaged it about Pat stuff. Maybe since I'm like on his show a lot as well as our show, like they don't know what to do with me.
I actually think that they do a really good job.
I think they do an outstanding job.
The mods of that Reddit.
Yeah,
the fact that they're able to keep it
good.
Honestly, it's the fact alone they're able to keep it spoiler free for me is like
that is a full-time non-paid gig to keep that sub spoiler free, and I applaud them for all of that.
I've seen people complain about like being litigious. I think when you're in that scenario, you have to just be absolutely no exceptions. I think they do it absolutely right way.
I think the issue is that with a lot of subreddits, it gets to the point where the people that are moderators go power crazy. And the subreddit loses its fun, right? And pretty much anything that you post goes away, and it never sees the light of day. And I feel like
sometimes when I'm just trying to post a question on other subreddits and it's not letting me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like there's certain rules or criteria you have to meet. Like you have to have so many upvotes on that sub before you can post. Like, all right, but what happens is what Devin said. If you don't follow the mods narrative of what they like, you're not going to get upvoted. So you're never going to post. It's a circle jerk in some cases when it comes to those subreddits.
Did you guys see that there's another challenge subreddit that has like a decent amount of people on it?
No, really? I didn't think it had a decent amount of people on it. I thought there was like nobody there. I wouldn't want to go on it because I would be worried about getting spoiled on something.
Yeah, there's another one now that I think there's like quite a few people, like in the thousands. Because how many
are they supposed to be unspoiled or spoiled?
I have no idea, Rob.
I don't know. I mean, there's like 50,000 people on the subreddit, the main subreddit. I mean, it's a lot of people.
So right now on the main one, let's see, it's loading. On the main one, it's 70,000. And then
so many people. Wow.
The other one, let's see if I can find the other one. It's 11,000. Right?
That's a good number for a secondary subreddit. That's not bad.
What do you think I wonder what the reason why they decide why this one's gaining steam? You know what I mean? Like, what is this one doing differently? Or do you think it's just people that find this one by accident?
I honestly think it could be people like logging into it by accident. Like, I don't know if they're necessarily doing anything different.
I think it also just depends on the quality of the post. And this is not me bagging on the mods of the subreddit for MTV Challenge. The thing is when you have 70,000 people on your sub, there are certain segments of the fan base that are a little fanatical about certain players, and their takes are so off the wall wrong that you're just like, okay, there's one thing about having an opinion, and there's another thing about having a delusion.
I mean, there's a lot of people who do some really nasty, insane stuff on these things.
Yeah, and there are people like doxing the cast for not wearing a mask in the pandemic on Twitter. Like, there's a lot of that kind of nonsense. And when I see those things, I download the crap out of those posts because it's like, I'm here to talk about the challenge. I'm not here to talk about who is not wearing a mask in the pandemic on the challenge subreddit. I don't care. So I could see, because of the proliferation, and it's not the mods' fault. They do a good job of regulating that. They let some of it go, and some of it that gets way out of hand, they delete. So I give them all the props in the world for how they handle that. But I could see there being a smaller subreddit of the harder of hardcore people, kind of like the people that listen to this show, I think.
I don't even think it's like harder of the hardcore. I think it's maybe it's more just Wild West, like anything fly. I don't know. I don't feel the need to check.
Look at what I sent out. This is from the other one. It's which one of you brought up TJ's face over Kyle? Which one of you said it? And I said that I didn't see it.
Oh, did somebody post about it?
Yeah, someone said when you're trying to be serious, but the class idiot keeps saying funny shit. And then it's just a photo of
hysterical
TJ's face.
Man, I didn't realize it was that bad.
It was funny, dude. Go watch the video. It's probably already on a GIF or something.
Yeah, I didn't catch that at all.
It was priceless. Like watching Kyle go, shit. Oh, it was good. So anyway, listener email. We're 8 minutes later. We'll get to the email. Here we go.
You can always send us listener emails if it's challengechronicles@gmail.com. This person, he didn't leave his name, so I won't say his name. It says episode 13 takes. I don't know about you guys, but making tonight's episode an hour was definitely the right thing to do considering what they had. I also wanted to get your guys' takes on things regarding this season and the challenge in general. One, win or lose, does Leroy get a hero send-off similar to what Timmy received on Inferno 3, or does he quietly go off into the sunset? 2, what are the odds that a former real-world cast member doesn't win this season? CT, Corey, Leroy, Anisa, Nani. 3, off topic of season 36, what would it take for MTV and Bina Murray to get Battle of the Champions to happen? And do you think projects like the We Want OGs can help bring back older champions? And always appreciate the podcast and take care. So let's do the first one first. Will Leroy get
great email, by the way? I love these questions.
Yeah, this is a good email. Will Timmy get a send-off similar to Leroy? No, like I think that's kind of tough.
Will Leroy get one like Timmy?
Yeah, Leroy
get one like Timmy. No, I don't think
I think it's harder to do that in a final, and I definitely think he's making the final. So maybe on the reunion they do something, but like
no, I actually think that he will get a similar edit to what Brad got after Cutthroat, where they just show a few scenes, but it's not going to be like this poignant.
That's a good call.
Like I think they will do flashbacks to him and Mike on Rivals. You'll see him, making out with Teresa or somebody. Like they'll show like 5 or 6 things, and he'll talk over all the things he's learned on the challenge. But you cannot beat Timmy's send-off speech and montage he got. No one has gotten a better send-off.
Has anyone got a better one?
Well, not many people have retired.
Like retired coming into the season.
Yeah, people retire and like are back 6 months later. Like Jordan's retiring
like
on
the Terry
X2
Funk
and
of
back
the
on
challenge.
30-30.
Mark Long has retired so many times.
All right,
this is like the challenge is like Brett Favre retiring. Like it's just not even a thing.
Number 2, what are the odds that a former Real World cast member doesn't win the season? So I actually did the math on this. So if it's
just like strictly like how many people are left type probability. Okay.
Yeah. So if it's looking at it from like an individual level, so like there are no, so like everyone's their own person. Essentially, it's 50% that someone doesn't. If it's the teams as they're constituted,
assuming one male and one female win.
Yeah.
Is it really 50% that a male team? Well, how were you setting it up, Devin? Were you setting it up like the pairs?
No, just individually. Okay. So hold on. So individually, it's 50% on the first half. Look at it, and then as the teams are constituted now, it'd be 16%, like 16.6 that one of them doesn't win. Just because I think
why is it 0.6 and 0.3?
For the first one,
why is it 0.66 and 0.3?
So I average these two together, right? So there's four out of the 6 men.
I don't think you should average them together.
Yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it. Because it's an equal number.
But if either of those hit, then that counts.
Because it's...
So I'm saying if either of those hit, then it counts. If just one real worlder wins. So you should take 0.3 of the remaining of the
real worlder to win.
How do you do that then?
Like the easiest way to do it for me would be to build out every single outcome that could possibly happen, and then just take how many of those outcomes.
I know that's what this is attempting to do, right? So is it 4 out of 6 men have been on Real World?
Yeah, Fessy and Darrell are the only 2 that haven't been
on
Real World. Oh, and Kyle, so that's 3. 3 of the 6 currently have not been on the Real World on the male side.
For women
then? Nani,
Anisa,
no, yeah, Nani, Anisa, and that's it, right?
All right. So if it's 3 out of the 6,
because it's 6 and 6, so that would be 50% if it's individual.
So if it's 3 out of 6 for if it's 3 out of 6 for the men, that means there's a 50% chance that a man will win, right?
That's from Real World, yeah.
If there's a 2 out of the 6 women, that means there's a 33% chance, right? And there's going to be a female winner and a male winner, right?
And then you would average those two together.
You wouldn't average them. And why would it be any less than 50?
Because it's just a.
There's only a 33%.
You have to go through the permutation.
There's only a 33% chance. I'm pretty confident this is how you do this. Look into it after, but I'm pretty sure this is how you do this. There's only a 33% chance that a woman would win, right? And so, yeah, it's a 50. So, Rob, that last one, it's not the odds that one of them will win. It's an odd that one of them won't win. Look at the formula in Q28. Because I'm subtracting it by 1.
28.
Do you see what I'm saying?
That doesn't make any sense.
Why?
That's the odds that one of them won't win?
Correct. So the odds that...
Well, okay, let's think about this logically. So there's a 50% chance a guy... Wait. There's a 50% chance a guy from Real World wins, correct?
Yes.
We all agree with that. Trace, Trace, we agree with that, right?
No, it's 4 out of 6 men have been on Real World. So whatever that...
3. Kyle, Fessy, and Darrell haven't.
Oh, that's right. I forgot Kyle. 3 out of 6. 50%.
So there's a 50% chance. We all agree with that outcome, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
How can it be any less than that?
Because... Yeah, you're right.
Because we don't know partner permutations. We don't know a lot of...
We know that one of the guys is winning. We know there's a 50% chance one of those guys is from Real World. It makes 0 sense for it to be any less than that.
This essentially counts it as... that... So it doesn't take into account that there has to be a...
You should be doing 6 to the power of 6.
Why?
That's the amount... That's the... Oh, not 6 to the power of 6. Excuse me. I was thinking. Oh, never mind.
The way that I was thinking
this out. Give me 1 minute to do that.
Give him a minute. But the way that I think about it, if it's
my
a 50%,
data analysis minor should be coming in handy here.
If we are just going by, we want one person from the Real World to win this. If there's a 50% chance on the men's side and there's a 33% chance on the women's side, then the chances of a Real World person winning should be the average of those two percentages.
How does that make any sense, dude?
So because there are so many permutations where it could be 2 Big Brother people or Cam or Darrell.
There's a 50% chance a guy from Real World wins, right?
But but that's not the accurate number when you take into account its pairs.
But if one of those guys is still winning, right? One guy is winning. We know one guy is winning. Right?
Do it while we go through the rest.
All right, I'll stop talking.
So, all right, go through the rest of the email. All right.
The way that
what was his other question?
For the way that the teams are constituted now, this is much easier math. It's 83%. It's 83%.
All right, we'll say 83%. Done.
It's 83% chance that one of them wins. The way that they're constituted right now, because
it's a 17% chance that someone from Real World won't win.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. So the third question, I don't even fucking remember it at this point. Off topic of season 36, what would it take for MTV and Puna Marie to get a Battle of the Champions to happen? And do you think projects like the We Want OGs can help bring back older champions? Yeah, I definitely think it could. I mean, I think that's one of the main reasons.
I don't see why they would do Battle of the Champions. I just don't see what's the point.
You know what they do it? They do it as a Paramount Plus show with a smaller cast. Done.
They've done Champs versus seasons, and the last 2 seasons of Champs versus weren't all champions on the Champ side. Like that's just not something they'll do.
Well, with an OG type season, it's possible because if you shrink the cast down to 18 to 20 people, there's a lot of champions in recent seasons. There's not been a whole lot of repeat winners in the last 7 years or last 7 seasons.
I would disagree with that a lot. Jenny was especially on the women's side. There hasn't been that many winners.
I said yes. I definitely agree as far as them using it as a way to bring back older people into the season. Like I think we're definitely going to see that. I think we're definitely going to see people from this upcoming OG season.
I just don't see okay, we're not going to bring Tina back because she didn't happen to be on a winning team at some point in one of these early seasons. That seems crazy to me.
But that's why they do a couple OG seasons and then they do a Battle of the Champions, and you've got, the Battle of the Champions. You can just do a random pick on whose team they're on at that point, or however they're going to do it.
That's not like,
because I mean, right there,
something that makes that champion. It's not only something that they don't value with the way they format the show. It doesn't make sense for them to value a champion on the show. Really.
I mean, so the thing is that
some seasons were 9 people win, some seasons where 1 person wins. How these winners are determined is very fluid. It's not like Survivor where the format's consistent.
I think that's why it makes it easier for them to do, right? It's a larger pool for them.
It'd be easier to do.
Yeah, that's why I think it's there's just so many seasons of the show that one season they're gonna be like, screw it, let's just do it. We'll
market the shit out of it. Talk about champions in that way. I just don't think that's
I think the cast does.
Champs Versus was the name of the show. The 2 of the 3 seasons, they're casting 10 people. 2 of the 3 seasons, they weren't all champions.
I think that's a different thing, though, because they were just getting a paycheck for charity. They are not competing for $500,000. There was zero incentive. There is zero incentive to go on Champs Versus unless you just want to be back on the show and maybe get cast.
If there was no financial, right? There's no way they weren't getting appearance fees.
They're getting an appearance fee, but put someone like Landon in. Like he said, the reason he didn't go back is even his appearance fee wasn't enough to cover what he made when he wasn't on the show.
You're distracting me from doing math, by the way. Normally, I would very happily take, but
so I just real quick on his question, and we'll get his math done and we'll wrap up. So, when I think Battle of the Champions, to me, it's a no-brainer exclusive for Paramount Plus with the We Want OGs thing. Because you could do a 3 or 4 week filming thing and you could get CT. It's basically the War of the Worlds 2 men's cast. You could have CT, Zach, Bananas, Wes,
they're doing this with more modern
Jordan.
Competitors.
But see, that's the thing. You could really mix it up and do the modern. So if you were able to get CT, Wes, and Zach, and Bananas, and Jordan, and I'll even give you trying to think of something, Frank. Sure. And then you cast Mark Long, Derek, Darrell. You could get a cast of 10 male challenge champions that would be really good. And there are also enough varied female champions. I mean, there's Jenny, there's Smashley. You've got, Camilla's not an option.
Honestly, I would be absolutely stunned if they did anything if it was actually just all people who had won the show before on the cast. I would be very, very surprised. I think just look at it from a logical perspective on their standpoint. They're not going to cast somebody who should be on the cast because they didn't happen to be on a winning team some point in season 11.
I could see them do it. It would be a chance for them to dust off Katie Doyle. You know what I mean? And bring her
she's
back.
she is a champion.
But Julie and Tina wanted to do this season, and they're not going to cast them because they didn't happen to be on a winning team.
They can be on another season. You know what I mean? It's not like this is
not
the last.
Not necessarily. You don't know when you're going to get that these people's abilities are going to be necessarily.
What do you mean?
You don't. Julie wasn't able to do this season. You don't know when she's going to be able to do this season. She's ready to be on the cast, and you're not going to cast her because of this loopy format.
They do that with all the time.
They do that all the time, every season.
But I think when you're going to a spinoff like that, I just don't. I would be. I would be very skeptical.
This is not a spinoff. This is a season.
It's just a one shot.
This is a season of the regular.
I don't see it happening,
dude. I'll bet on this. At some point that they do an all champions.
Well, what are we betting on for this? What's the how many years?
This is a long term bet. This might be a while. This might be 2 years.
$100.
How much?
$100.
How many years am I in the hole for this?
Until this show ends.
Until the podcast is done.
What's the show going to end? What the show doesn't end?
It's going to end within our lifetime.
It'll end at some point. We don't know when, but it'll end at some point.
We're $75 and $100 to be worth anything.
Come on, Bananas was still the greatest.
And then if he happens to win, it's going to be where the money's actually worth something.
People, I think it's more likely now because people didn't think Survivor was ever going to do this too. Like it never, people never thought
a winner is so different in Survivor than the challenge, and it always has been. It's one person winning.
I think it's harder.
Format. I think what the argument you're giving right now makes it more likely that they do it.
I would be.
I mean, the fact that CBS did it for Survivor, Viacom is streaming both of these shows. They have invested in a spinoff for the OGs. It is entirely plausible that if they do OG season 2, it's Battle of the Champions. Like, I could totally see that happening. Because you could even dust off a Dan Setzler. You could dust off Adam Larson. You could dust off several people that are OG-ish and then throw in a Bananas West CT situation too. Like, it'd be so easy. So
we're getting there on this bet. You guys keep distracting me with your bad take.
Oh my God.
Well, this doesn't take that long. There's got to be a way to do this without like writing every single one of them out. Some person, I guarantee there's at least one person.
I'm actually almost done. Give me one second.
Screaming at the microphone right now. If anyone knows how to actually do the math on this,
no, I know how to do. I know how to do it. I just need to type it out.
You don't. There's a way to do. There's a way to do the math for this without writing out every single permutation. There's a way that you don't have to do that.
I mean, if you want to go simple, you could just say there's 12 people left, and of those 12 people, 50% are from the real world. So the chances of a non-real world person winning are 50%.
Do you just take the higher number? Is that what it is? Is it 50%?
No, it's not.
So, I mean, it's 4 men and 2 women out of 12 that have been on the real world.
My freaking calculator is taking so long. Oh my God. It's 75% of real world wins.
Okay.
So pretty close. Okay. That's pretty good. Done.
You were saying it was less than 50.
Have you not figured out that sometimes I say things just to wind you up because it gets a reaction and it's entertaining?
I have a feeling that if Trace ever starts doing these bets instead of Devin, I'm going to come out looking a lot better.
Someone please.
Why do you think I don't bet? The hot take is funnier than the bet.
Someone please email the challengechronicles@gmail.com and tell us the correct way to do this.
I bet you. Who was the guy that did statistics for us for a while? Sheriff. Sure, dude. He probably he's screaming at us right now.
I know how to. I can't. It's hard for me to explain it, but it's like you have to take the odds that are remaining from the larger odds. You would take the 50. It was 50% that the man wins. Then you would take the 2 out of 6 chance that a woman from the real world wins. Then you would take the remaining left from the what's remaining from the larger portion of that. Yeah, it's just hard for me to explain over the thing, but yeah.
Fair enough. I trust you. In all seriousness, I trust that. So we're good.
All right, we got anything else?
Buy a shirt at bigdubdiesel.com. That's dub with 2 B's. If you buy a shirt, tonight is still currently March 10th. If you buy a shirt in the next 48 hours on the site, it's 35% off. So if you're looking to get some merch, now is a good sale to do it.
Yeah. And then just a reminder about the survey. If you could go take that, we'll leave it in the show notes now. We
need to double check to make sure that link works. Last time when I put it in, I got it to work on one of the episode descriptions.
All right, yeah, we put it in last week's episode too, but we didn't make any announcements on it because we were kind of in a rush.
It also didn't work for a lot of the episode descriptions, so if people tried to use it, it didn't work.
Yeah, our hosting provider is absolutely terrible.
I tried to get us to switch. We could find one we liked better, but
we would have paid more money for the same functionality, so we went cheap, and maybe we shouldn't have.
It's terrible, and I sent them a message, and they were pretty much just like pound sand, like get out of here. Like no help whatsoever.
Zero.
Do people know the etymology of pound sand?
Who knows?
No,
I just know that Zencaster's been great to deal with support wise. They've really been helpful. They didn't exactly give me the answer I liked, but they told me the truth. And that's all I ask for. If you tell me that, hey, your product just messed up, there's no real excuse for it. We're sorry. We'll do better. We're actually doing bug fixes to fix it.
Offer to help with Podbean. It's like, our product doesn't offer that, and then we're like,
we have support, but not really.
With Podbean, they told me to reach out to Apple iTunes, and the moment I read that, I'm like, get the fuck out of here!
We're done.
That might as well be like you telling me just delete this email. We're not helping you.
I mean, it's like, okay, the logic of that answer is so stupid for those of you who are not in the technical world, because all Apple is doing is taking an RSS feed generated by our podcast provider and just rendering it, okay? If the link is not rendering, it's something with the RSS feed. Like, there's no question that that's the problem.
This is what's weird, though. So there are some circumstances where the same link, right? The same description, there's one section of the Apple podcast app where the links will work, and then another section of the Apple podcast app, well, they weren't. So honestly, like, it may be something with Apple. I have no fucking idea. Either way, that's the reason why the links don't work sometimes.
Yeah. So they will work on YouTube, so we'll have it on YouTube.
So if you could please answer the listener poll that we're doing, that would be great. Winner will get a free t-shirt if you give us the email. If you could leave us a rating and review on iTunes, I'm
assuming random drawing, or are we gonna like do something else?
I'll do my random spreadsheet generator that I'd done. So
we could pick whichever person gives us the best little answer at the bottom.
Then we'll just argue for an hour and a half on the podcast about who gave the best answer.
We argue a lot anyways. Like, well, this just gives us something to argue about besides Drew Lock and challenge statistics.
We need to make this wagers tab public.
I wonder who do people be supporting in these wagers. I really need to make up some ground. I really need to get like a groundswell of people emailing John Elway to keep Drew Lock in as a starter.
This is why we're doing the premium content, folks, so that we have a Slack where you can interact with us directly and have these arguments with us.
The interactions I've had publicly tend to be very polarized.
Do you have a win yet? I don't think you do.
I definitely have one win.
You have... I have 4 wins.
He had a big crash and burn.
The thing is, the two people we were betting on, both were left in for weird circumstances.
So
they still lasted
longer than the people that you had.
Those were pushes.
What I'm saying is, like, if me betting on Tori, yes, that was a bad bet, and I didn't even really believe it when I made it. I shouldn't have made that bet. But what I'm saying is, like, there was no ability for me to win those bets.
With Tori?
No, I'm saying there was no ability, because since Lolo and Nam both left for circumstances that were wiping the bets, there's no way for me to win the bet at that point.
Yeah, because the bet was, if Lolo makes the final, is she the favorite? And Rob said no. You said yes.
No,
I thought that was the bet.
The bets were all like me picking one to outlast.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have lost either. Like, I'm not counting those other ones as losses.
Well, but the one Tori you're counting for me as a loss, right?
Yes, because Lolo lasted longer.
I know, but Lolo, there was no. What I'm saying is, there's no. We had agreed on a Cam versus Lolo bet, which I tried to get across, but couldn't. There was no capability for me to win that bet.
Correct, but you wouldn't have lost, though. That's what I'm saying.
You'd have just pushed.
I understand, but any of these bets I could have made, I had no ability to win. I was only able to lose.
I'm still mad that I didn't take Devin's Lolo bet, because I would have cashed on that one.
No, I'm saying we wouldn't have, because she left for weird.
No. There was another conversation we had where Devin was like, she's going to make the final. And I said, I bet she's not. And I should have taken it. I should have taken the bet, because I had zero confidence. Huh?
Would you count that as a winner? No.
If the bet was to make the final, I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
If the bet was, will X make the final? I don't care why they didn't make the final. If they don't make the final, you lose that bet.
If we wipe the Natalie and Nam bets, I don't know why we're not wiping the Lolo bets. And if we're wiping any Lolo or any Nam bets, there's no ability for me to win the bet.
So I think we would have, there would have been a conversation about it if Trace and I made that bet. And I think Trace's whole argument around Lolo this season was that she was going to blow up at a certain point.
Well, that was my argument too. To be fair,
Rob had the same argument.
Didn't have the same mental capabilities to do it.
So the only Lolo Nam bet that has been resolved that I won was the Trump one. Trump will not be present by Inauguration Day.
Well, the Trevor Lawrence bet, I think the Trevor Lawrence bet I should have put more money on. I honestly your take was like, I hadn't even heard somebody give that take before, that he was going to ask out of the Jaguars.
Well, no, I thought there was a chance. So it was a bunch of different things. So it was that, and then I thought that there was a chance that he could go back
to Clemson.
Well, but that was all based on him just not wanting to go to the Jaguars, right?
Right. When the bet was talked about, he thought he might not declare for the draft.
Yeah, that was the other part of it too. And so that was really when I thought that I'd lost. I thought that I'd lost the moment he declared for the draft.
But there's still a chance. I still think the Jags are taking him at this point. Like, Urban
there's
Meyer
no
would be
question they're taking him.
stupid if he didn't.
No, I mean, look, I'm not a draft nick. I'm not going to pretend to have.
Rob, have you heard the Chris Sims mock draft? Have you heard about this? This has been going around like crazy, hasn't it?
I was just listening to it now.
Some of the most fire, like, if you look at the quarterback rankings.
Well, he had Wilson ahead of Lawrence, and he had Kellen Mond in his top 6.
He had him like top 3, didn't he? He had him
top 4.
Wow.
What really bothers me about this is he's clearly done the film work, and he's an NFL quarterback, so he clearly has experience in it. And like people like us are like clowning him for these takes. Like, what do we know, dude?
Do you think he's doing this? Do you think this is serious by him, or do you think he's doing
100%?
Or do you think he's doing this because he knows people will talk about it and it'll get him like?
No, I think he's 100% serious. He had Herbert and Jordan Love ahead of Tua last draft. He had Daniel Jones number 6 the draft before that. He actually has if you go back and look at it, he has a pretty good record, and it's often controversial. I think he actually just knows what he's talking about, and since he's not, he says he's not anchoring his opinion. Like, he doesn't look at anybody else's rankings beforehand. It's hard to do that, but like that's what he says. And he just grinds the film himself, then I mean, I don't see why they couldn't come out different than other people.
Okay. I'll check it out. I haven't read it. I think that'd be interesting
for me. It just really bothers me that people who like I don't have time to do film work on these guys. Like, I have no clue. For me to criticize what he's saying is crazy to me.
Wait, he doesn't have Fields or Lawrence number 1. Who does he have? He has Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
okay,
he had Wilson 1. Well, Wilson's the pretty consensus too at this point.
Here, I have him. This is what it is. It's Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones.
Yes, Jones, Mond, yeah.
Mond, Fields, Lance. So I think having
Mac
Fields
Jones type 3 is questionable. I watched that dude play all season, man. That's questionable.
All right.
Like, my thing is just like, what the hell? What do I know, dude? Like, I have no clue. I have no base to criticize him for this.
All right. Thank you for listening, everyone. Listener emails, challengechronicles@gmail.com, survey in the description, and we'll talk to you again next week when we talk about episode 14. Thank you. Bye.